Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart, and today we're going to be talking about what's next for Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has finally had its final character revealed, Sora from Kingdom Hearts. It was an amazing reveal. I'm not even necessarily a Kingdom Hearts fan, but the way that all came together, the way it sort of fulfilled the namesake of Sakurai's team, the way everything was just sort of a celebration of these crossovers, it was a beautiful thing, and now I'm actually excited about trying out the Kingdom Hearts games that will be coming to Nintendo Switch, even if it is just through the cloud. But with this final climactic reveal, it leads many of us to think, I'm sure, what's next? It may be a while before the next Smash Bros. Game, but what will that be like? Will Sakurai be involved? What's gonna change? Well, that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Now before we jump into things, let me very quickly talk about my social media. You may see a few different things here on screen. You can check that all out. It is linked in the description below. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here, you can subscribe. So there's a few different angles we could go at with this discussion about what's next for Smash Brothers. But perhaps one of the better ways to do this is to first start talking about what direction is the next Smash Bros. Going to be headed in? Is it going to be more of a reboot for the franchise? Or is it going to be more of an updated version of Ultimate? If they decide to go with an updated version of Ultimate, all they have to do is add on more stages and characters and items and such, and there you go. It's just a more Ultimate. Although that could be challenging because there's already a lot of licensing hurdles that they went through to get this amazing roster for Smash Ultimate. So we may not see the likes of Smash Ultimate again. That's going to be very, very challenging. But on the other hand, if they were to go with a reboot, that could be scary territory. Because while it might be a nice idea to maybe reset the roster, not go with something as big, but try something different and fresh for the series, they may not even have Sakurai working on this project as heavily. Which brings me to another big point here. We don't know if Sakurai is going to continue the Smash series. It was the final mission requested by Iwata-san, Sakurai's dear departed friend and a previous leader of Nintendo. He did everything he could to make Smash Ultimate the ultimate Smash Bros. Game, in part to satisfy that final wish from Iwata. And it's done. He did it. And if you look at the Sakurai Presents, the way he worded everything, the way he said his farewell, it felt like a farewell. It felt like an end to Smash Ultimate, to Smash Bros. Potentially as a whole. And it makes sense. You look at how long he worked on Smash for Wii U and 3DS, and then jumped immediately into development for Smash Ultimate, and then immediately after that worked on the DLC for Smash Ultimate, which lasted another 3 years almost. He's been working on Smash Bros. Non-stop for a very, very long time. So it seems likely that he's gonna at least take a break, work on something else, maybe for Nintendo, maybe not for Nintendo. It's worth noting that Sakurai is contracted by Nintendo. He's a partner with Nintendo. He no longer works for Nintendo. That happened once upon a time. He can do whatever he wants. Maybe he'll go back to another Nintendo IP and do an amazing job like he did with Kid Icarus Uprising, or maybe he'll put a game on an entirely different platform, or it'll be multi-platform. We don't know. But it feels like a fair bet that he's at least going to take a break from Smash Bros. And work on something else. Now, the next Smash Bros. Game probably won't come out for a few years, so maybe he makes that game in between and decides he wants to continue to work on Smash Bros. But at some point, he's gonna stop, and in my opinion, Smash Ultimate was everything he could reasonably do. I think if he has any involvement with the next Smash Bros. Game, it's more likely going to be more of an overseer role, or perhaps they simply ask him for some points of inspiration or suggestion. They get some advice and feedback, but he's not going to be heavily involved with the project. So if that ends up being the case, what direction do they take Smash Brothers? There's certainly still a whole bunch of roster options and such. We could see a number of new characters, but the roster, again, may not be as large as what we saw for Ultimate. Because of all these different companies involved, it's going to be very, very hard to get them all involved again. It just doesn't seem likely unless what they do is simply a remaster or enhanced or deluxe version of Smash Ultimate. You take Smash Ultimate and just repackage it as a deluxe version. Maybe they do something like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So perhaps, because Smash Ultimate has gone so deep into the Switch's life cycle, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, we see the next generation Switch, and they announce a deluxe version of Smash Ultimate, which has some additional content in there, and by doing this, it's perhaps a way for them to get away with having all of the characters that were added for Ultimate in there, while still expanding upon the roster and stages and maybe a couple other modes as well to make it feel like a deluxe version of Smash Ultimate, so Nintendo can sort of still rest upon the laurels of what Sakurai accomplished for a few more years. But eventually, they're going to have to try something different. And I don't think they can just continually add more and more characters. That's going to be challenging. I think we're going to eventually get to a situation where some characters just aren't going to make the cut. We're going to see some characters go away, but they'll add some new characters. Which brings me to another interesting topic of this discussion. What about more characters? There were so many characters that people wanted to add to Smash Brothers, yet they weren't added, even though so many were. When it comes to video games, there's just so many options. There are so many franchises and series, and there's so many cool characters that fans want. So there's tons of potential for new additions in the next Smash Bros. Game. Maybe in the next Smash Bros. Game we finally get Crash Bandicoot, we finally get Rayman. Those could be amazing additions. But then of course Smash Bros. Ultimately started off as a Nintendo fighting game. There still are a lot of Nintendo characters that could be added. For example, the characters from Astral Chain. That's now a new IP that we're only seeing on Nintendo systems, even though it's being developed by Platinum Games. Maybe they make it into the next Smash Bros. Game. Or what about other characters from the Mario universe? We've seen Monty Mole gain quite a bit of popularity from Mario Party. What if he's added? He could be something similar to Piranha Plant. Might be a fun, nice little character to add. Or what about Kamek, for example? There are so many characters that could be added. We still haven't even gotten Paper Mario, and across all the different Paper Mario games, there's certainly a large moveset potential there. So just right there's plenty of character options. But then what about The Legend of Zelda? You have the different champions and whatever characters introduced from Breath of the Wild 2, but then we still haven't even gotten Impa. Impa is a long-standing character in the Zelda series and is probably the most prevalent right after Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf. So I would say she's the best bet for the next potential Zelda character in a new Smash Bros. Game. And then you look at what's going on with Metroid and Metroid Dread. They could potentially add the Chozo Warrior or an Emmy. Those could be some pretty fun character options, and perhaps by the time we're talking about the next Smash Bros. Game, we've already seen Metroid Prime 4. Maybe Soggs has a big role, maybe there's another character involved, and they're possibly characters that could be added as well. With all these different franchises getting updates, there are more and more Nintendo characters that become really awesome options for the next Smash game, so there's always going to be reason to add new characters. So I'll say that if things end up being a reboot, I think they'll probably focus more on the core Nintendo characters and updating it with some of the more recent new Nintendo characters in the new games on the Nintendo Switch and whatever comes out beyond. If it ends up being more of an Ultimate, well then maybe we get a few more awesome third-party characters that were requested, such as Crash Bandicoot and Rayman, and maybe they do fit in 1 or 2 more Nintendo characters that also were wanted by a lot of fans. But something else that I think a lot of fans want from Smash Brothers are more alternative skins. There's been a lot of updates to a lot of characters throughout this generation. It would be awesome to see some updated skins. So if they were to go with more of a Smash Ultimate Deluxe, one nice little thing they could do is simply add a couple more skins. Give us some skins from Metroid Dread. Give us some skins from Breath of the Wild or Breath of the Wild 2. Give us more skins from Mario Odyssey. There's tons of material there for a lot of these characters. That's something they could easily do. Another element that people sort of wanted more from was the Echo characters. The Echo characters were presented in Smash Ultimate as, well, clones, even though we've had clones in the past, but they finally had a particular naming. It seemed like it was suggested that there would be a fair bit of them added to Smash Ultimate, and while there were a handful, there certainly could be a lot more for a lot more characters. For example, if we were to get Impa, maybe Impa would simply be some sort of adapted echo of Sheik, or perhaps Dixie Kong could be an adapted echo of Diddy Kong. Now, I'll say that Dixie Kong would certainly have some moves that would be very different from Diddy Kong, but it's just one of many possibilities here. There are quite a bevy of potential echo characters for all of these different characters from different series on Nintendo that could potentially be a good fit. Another, for example, would be Malos from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. He could be an echo of Shulk. There are just many options here, so to see more echoes in the next Smash Bros. Game, I feel like that would be something that a lot of fans would really appreciate, and if Sakurai no longer has a heavy role in the game, that could be one way to bolster the roster without needing that much additional creative input from the genius that is Sakurai. Now, something else that I feel like would be nice to see in the next Smash Bros. Game would be a return of Target Break. Target Break is something I loved from previous Smash Bros. Games. I know a lot of you also did as well. It's an easy addition that they could bring in that would excite a lot of fans and offer up a bit more additional content there. So if this ends up being a situation like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where they're simply just adding more content, similar to how they added Battle Mode, maybe they could add Target Break. That is a possibility. Or maybe they add another interesting mode we've seen from the past, for example, like Smash Run. But on the flip side, if this ends up being more of a reboot, where the roster's a lot smaller, then it might be easier for them to offer a catered Target Break mode for each individual character, kind of like how it used to be back on Smash 64 and Melee. A lot of the changes or additions we could see in the next Smash Bros. Game will be greatly impacted by what direction they take the series, whether it'll be a reboot or an expansion upon Ultimate. We won't know that for some time, which kind of brings me to my final point. When will we find out? When will we learn about the next Smash Bros. Game? When is the next Smash Bros. Game coming? I don't expect it for at least a couple years. But if you look at how Nintendo's handled things with every Smash Bros. Game, typically they give us a new Smash Bros. Game fairly early into the life cycle for each mainline Nintendo system. So basically it seems like Nintendo tries to get out a Smash Bros. Game less than 2 years into a console's life cycle. So really, in order to sort of predict when we get the next Smash Bros. Game, we should probably sort of try to predict when we see Nintendo's next generation system. But that's where things get a little bit tricky, because right now, we're not entirely sure what Nintendo's going to do. There's some debate that we may be seeing one iteration after another every year or two, and Nintendo may take up more of an iPhone sort of model where they phase out some of the older systems and simply bring in a few more revisions to continue modernizing that hardware. Although we've never seen Nintendo do that in the past, so it's hard to say for sure that's what they're gonna do. It's probably still more likely that at some point or another, they're simply going to give us a next generation system, and then they'll have a couple years of a transitional period where there'll be some cross-gen releases, pretty much how Sony and Microsoft do things nowadays, and there you go. So assuming it's more like that, when do we see that next generation? Well, right now, we're approaching the 5-year anniversary for the Nintendo Switch, but sales are still doing really well. We still haven't seen a price drop for the system. It seems to have really strong legs. On the flip side though, Nintendo may not want to put themselves in a situation like they were with the Wii U and the Wii and the GameCube, where the systems were not performing really well at the end of their life cycles. They may want to transition earlier on into the system's life cycle so they can maintain momentum, but still have a couple years where the older system gets support, just like the Nintendo 3DS. It was still getting new games in 2019, but the Switch came out in 2017, 2 years prior. So conceivably, I feel like it's possible, since we just got Switch OLED this year, that we get a major update to the Nintendo Switch perhaps by holiday 2023, and even though it may be a next generation system by that point, we will still see support for the base Switch for a couple years, but by 2025 they may phase it out, and by that point, I feel like we could be looking at the next Smash Bros. Game. 4 years from now, but this is all contingent upon the idea that Nintendo starts their next generation holiday 2023. There's a lot of evidence suggesting that maybe we get some sort of new hardware next year. If you look at the software lineup with Breath of the Wild 2 and Legends Arceus and Splatoon 3 and Bayonetta 3 and 3D Kirby and these upscaling patents and all these reports from Bloomberg and such about there being 4K dev kits, some people think maybe new hardware comes out next year. I'm skeptical of that because of the supply issues with chips and shortages and such, and then also how Nintendo's been slower with their revisions during the Switch era, but we won't know for sure until 2022 comes around and we see what happens for the holidays. But I'll stick with my prediction for holiday 2023, and I'll say that the next Smash Bros. Game comes out within 2 years of that point. So I'm guessing by 2025, we'll see the next Smash Bros. Game, and then we'll know what direction the series is headed in. We'll know if Sakurai will be involved, we'll know if it's going to be a reboot, or simply an expansion of what they did with Ultimate. But those are my thoughts on the future of Smash Bros. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree? Do you have other ideas? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.